Hey everyone, I wanted to make this screencast to demonstrate how I have split you into groups for peer review and workshopping for the final project. So behind me, hopefully you'll sort of recognize the spreadsheet that I have provided links to. This is where you will post the link to your first draft of your project. Remember, it's okay if your project's not completely finished by the time you share it here. Do make note of that somewhere within the project itself so that the others who read your project will understand that it's still a work in progress and that there are things that you haven't yet completed. And then they can give you feedback accordingly. So what I'm going to do is shrink my head down a little bit and put myself over here in the corner so that I can just show you what I've done to put you into groups. So you'll notice this has changed its look a little bit over the last day or two. This project URL column, column B, this is where you will paste the link to your project. So you can see many of you have already done that. Some of you have worked on Medium, some of you have done Adobe Spark. I think those have been the two primary platforms used thus far. If you haven't yet pasted the link to your first draft of your project, please do that as soon as you can. Again, remember, it's okay if it's not done in its entirety. Just make a note of kind of where you're at in the process so that those that read it will understand. And then come here and paste the link into the project. I did note this elsewhere, but please, if you're using Adobe Spark or whatever platform you may be using, Prezi, other things are totally acceptable. And I've given you a list of those in the project instructions. Make sure that you have shared it in a way that when other people click on your link, they'll be able to access your project. In other words, make sure that you didn't just grab the URL up here in the browser bar in the editor, because you only have access to the editor portion of those platforms, meaning you have to log in order to get to that specific URL where you are editing your work. Sometimes it's okay to share those depending on what the platform is, but again, just make sure, because with Adobe Spark, for example, you need to actually click share and make sure that you share, publish, I should say, and share your work that way to get a URL that will work for other people. Even if you publish your project when it's not yet complete, you'll be able to go back and continue editing it, and you'll be able to share those edits by the time that the final is due a week from today. So today is the 4th of December. The last day of our class is December 11th, Friday. You have through the end of that day, midnight, to submit your final version of the project. All right, going back to this then, since some of you had posted your rough drafts here, your first drafts, what I did is I went to a randomizer online and I put you into random groups. Right now, they're groups of 3. No matter what happens, you're only required to provide feedback to 2 of your classmates. Depending on how things shake out, I may have to add a person or 2 to the groups, but again, you'll only provide feedback on 2 of your peers' projects. The way that you'll do that is you'll come to the assigned peer reviewers column and you'll look to see the 2 places where you find your name. So for example, Elena's name is here on these first 2 available project review, peer review sections. I've color coded each group, so you'll see 3 lines that are the same color. So Elena's down here, other groups are in these other colors. When you're ready to go and review your peers' work, then you'll just click on the link to it. So for example, if I was going to review Jaden's project, I would just click here on the Medium post. It would open up. I would be able to read it. Although Medium does allow for annotation right within it, and it's okay to annotate right on there for each other if you're working in Medium, you still need to kind of write a synopsis of your feedback here in the Google Doc that I've created. So this link is the same for each member of this group. So for example, for Jaden, Lonnie, and Elena, even though I've put the link on each of these lines, it goes to the same document. The same thing for Jacob, Dan, and Christopher. Even though this document appears on all of the lines for your group, it goes to the same document. So I'm going to open up one of these peer review documents. I just happened to click on group 2 here. And the group numbers, you don't need to really pay attention to those because they only matter to me. They're only relevant to me. They don't really mean anything to you all. But you'll just see, again, I'm in a group with, well, I'm not, but Christopher, Dan, and Jacob are in a group together. So these Google Docs contain instructions for what you need to do. These reflect the instructions that were provided in the research project instruction layout on Medium. And so there's a link to that. There's a reminder of the different things that you should provide feedback on. I have a spot for notes. These are notes for me. I've made notes to a couple of groups that, for example, someone needs to publish their Spark project so that everyone else can access it. So I've made note of that here. You don't need to add anything there. But if I was Dan, we'll say, given this paper here, I would put my cursor here when I'm ready to add my comments on Christopher's project. I would write those comments, and I would unbold it. And then I would put my name. I can also add some space. So the point here is that you have access to edit these documents. You do need to make sure that you add your name to the feedback that you provide, just so that your peers will know who left that feedback, so that I can make sure to give you credit for everything that you've done. And I'll know who left feedback for who, and so on. But again, this is where you would write feedback for Christopher's project. This is also the place that Jacob will come and leave his feedback. So he'll see Dan's feedback there, and he'll just hit enter a couple times, write feedback, and leave it there like that. So there's a spot for you to leave your feedback. If you want to write your feedback in your own document, your own way as you're actually reading through each other's projects and then copy and paste it into here, that's more than fine. Whatever works best for you, but this is just the place where you will leave your feedback. So this way, Christopher will know that when he's ready, after he's given feedback to others and he's ready to find feedback for his own work, this is where he will come to see that. So the same thing will work for all of your groups, for all of your peer review groups. You'll be able to see each other's feedback via these Google Docs. Hopefully that makes sense. Please let me know what questions you have. I'm looking forward to seeing your thoughts and comments on each other's work. As I've noted in the instructions, I've given you these categories: thesis statement, evidence, interpretation, conclusion, other suggestions, to help organize your feedback. Remember to be kind. Remember to be constructive. It's okay to say, I didn't quite understand this, or I had a question about that. Those are great ways of providing feedback. But rather than saying, this makes no sense, I don't get it, the tone is just completely different, if you see. And so what we're trying to do is provide feedback that will be helpful, that will be things that will help each other to strengthen the work that we're doing on our particular historical topics. All right, I think I'll leave it there. As always, let me know if you have questions, if you have concerns, if you need a little help. I'm available via my email. I'm also available via text or on Twitter. So do let me know what I can do to help out, and I will talk to you soon.